Okay, 6th grade, lesson 41. This is on finding a percent of a number, okay? So a lot of times you'll say there's a 50% chance of rain, or Susie got 80% of the questions right. Or the sales tax rate on that item is 7%. Those are different things that you hear using percentage, okay? So let's do a quick review on what percentage means. Do you remember what percent means? When I say percent?
Yeah, like cent is like how you remember it. There's 100.
And remember the per and then 100? Do you remember me talking about that? Okay, so it actually means per 100, okay? So if I said 50%, it would be 50 per 100. That line can stand for per, okay, also. Okay, if I said something was 5%, it would be 5 over 100. Do you see how that works? Okay, how do I make this into a decimal number? Do you remember?
It would be 0.50.
You're exactly right. How did you do that?
I just put a point before 50.
No.
But like it's because it's in the hundredths place.
Very good. Tenths, hundredths, and then 50 is the number. Very good. Okay? Very good. All right, and so this one,
that one would be 0.5. No, 0.05.
Very good. Why did you change that?
Because 5
needs to be in the...
It needs to be in the hundredths.
Very good. Tenths, hundredths. So the 5 needs to go in the hundredth spot. If the 5 was in the tenth spot, it would be 5 tenths. But we're not doing 5 tenths, we're doing 5 hundredths, right? Okay. Now, that was just a quick review on that. So, if I told you to write 15%, write that as a decimal.
Okay.
Very good. He said 0.15. So, if he did that correctly in his head, it would have really been 15 over 100 because this percent means that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this as a decimal looks like that. Okay? Try another one. Now, this time they're wanting you to write it as a reduced fraction. So, help me come up with the fraction first.
75 over 100.
Okay? And what number will go into both 75 and 100? Remember, that's how we reduce.
75?
Let's start with 5. Okay? Or we can do 25s. How many 25s are in 75?
3.
3. So I'm basically dividing by 25. Dividing by 25. How many 25s are in 100?
4.
4. Ah, wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reduced portion is 3/4. Okay? Now, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult and you may want to take notes. Okay? Here's one of the problems they're going to give you. They're going to say, what number is 75% of 20? What number is 75% of 20? Now, before you start trying to figure that out, just a minute. Before you start trying to figure that out, there's a mathematical way to do that. You may have done that in your brain. So what do you think the answer is going to be?
15.
15? Okay, let's put that up here and see if you're right. Okay? So, let's do this the mathematical way. We're going to use this what number, and I'm going to put an N there. Because we don't know what number, right? Okay? Is what could be a mathematical symbol for is. Equals. It is, it equals. Okay, 75%. Now, I can either put a fraction there or a decimal. Okay? So, 75% as a decimal number would be what?
Decimal number, 0.75.
0.75. Okay? Of in math means what?
Multiply.
Very good. And 20. So, watch how I write this out this time now. Ready? N equals 0.75 times 20. I just made a word problem into a mathematical equation.
Do we answer it?
Yep, we're going to. what number, N, we don't know, you could put an M, X, T, R, whatever you want to do. What number equals 75%, 0.75, or I could have put 3/4, okay, times 20 of 20, right? Okay, I always think it's easier to make a percent into a decimal number, okay? You don't have to. You can put it into a fraction, okay? You can never leave percent as percent in a math problem. It has to be changed into a decimal or a fraction. You might want to write that rule down. Never leave a percent as percent in a math sentence, a problem, in math problem. Always change to fraction or decimal number. Okay? Never leave a percent as a percent in a math problem. Always change it to a fraction or a decimal number. Okay?
Okay.
So now, I'm going to erase all this and let's work our problem. I forgot, you got 15 up here. Okay? You ready? So we're going to take this 0.75 times 20. Okay, now you can do the hanging zero. Let's do that since we've learned it. Okay, bring that 0 down. Okay, so then 5 times 2 is 10. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 1 is 15. Okay? Now, yes, you're right.
Right?
Yep. Now, see, it's a decimal number. 1, 2. Start from the right. 1, 2. 15.00 or just 15. Because remember, there's always a decimal number, even if you can see it or not, on a number. Answer is 15. Excellent job, Eli. Okay, so sometimes you're going to be able to do them in your head, and that's a good idea to do it if you can. But a lot of times you're not going to be able to. Okay, let's try that again.
Because if they weren't quarters and it was 75% of like
yeah,
something else.
So it's sometimes easy to use money, right?
Yeah.
Think of it as a money. Okay. Now let's do the same thing. Instead of doing 75%, let's do 3/4 of 20.
Okay.
How would I work this problem? Do you remember? What would I do to that 20? I would put 20 over 1, wouldn't I?
Well, yeah.
Well, this one's in fraction form, so this one needs to be in fraction form. Okay? This is in decimal form. This can stay a number. But fractions, you need to make fractions.
Okay.
Okay? So 3 times 20 is 60. 20, 40, 60. 4 times 1 is 4. 60 divided by 4, 15. See that?
Mm-hmm.
I quickly did that. But either way, you're going to get the answer at 15. Whether you do it as a decimal number or a fraction, okay? Got it?
Yep.
Feel like you understand it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do 2 more problems. Okay? And help me to answer this one. Ready? Johnny correctly answered 80% of the 25 questions. Okay? Johnny correctly answered 80% of the 25 questions. How many questions did he answer correctly? Well, we want to know 80% of 25. So help me out. What's this 80% going to become? Because remember, you can't leave it as percent.
It's got to become a fraction or decimal number.
Fraction or decimal number? Which one
Decimal.
do you want? Decimal? Okay. So as a fraction, it would be 80 over 100, right?
Yeah.
Which would really be what as a fraction or as a decimal?
It would be 80 point or 0.80.
0.80. Very good. Okay. Of in math means times 25. 80 of 25. 80 times 25. 0.80 times 25. So here we go. 0.80 times 25. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 8, 40. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 8 is 16. Bring everything down. And then I count 1, 2 spots after the decimal. So 1, 2, right there. The answer is 20. So if I got 80% of the 25 questions right, how many did I get right?
20.
20. Very good. Okay? You feel like you're understanding it pretty good? All right, the last problem. And this one's going to get a little bit confusing for just a minute. But I want to teach you something. Let's say you go to the store and you want to buy a slingshot. Okay? And so you go up to the counter and they tell you that the slingshot is this price, $12.
Okay.
Okay? Now, as you know, when you go up to the store and you put that slingshot to buy it, when they scan it, it says $12. Then what's added to the price?
Tax.
Tax. Okay, so we're going to figure out how much is going to be added to this $12 that we have to pay. You ready? Mm-hmm. Now, on this book, they're using the sales tax rate as 6%. So right? Everybody that comes, well, it's always different. Depends on where you live, all kind of different things. Okay? So, at this particular store, in this city, whatever, it's 6%. So, the Walmart or whatever sends 6% of every time someone buys something, it takes 6% and sends it to our tax people that take our tax money, okay? So, let's find out what 6% of $12 is. So, did you hear me? 6% of $12. So, what am I going to do?
Times.
Yes. Very good. So, 6% times $12. Now, I'm going to go and put 0.00 just to help us out. Okay? 6%. Can I leave it as percent?
No.
No. What do I need to do with it?
6 over 100, I guess.
6 over 100, which is really what?
0.6. 0.06.
0.06. Because why? Tenths, hundredths. Very good. So we're going to take $12 times 0.06, right? Okay. So watch what I'm going to do. 6 times 0. Let's go on and do this. You want to make those hanging zeros? Let's make those hanging. Okay. Still have to have my decimal number for just a second, okay? Now, 6 times 2, 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
1. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1, 7. Okay? And now this 0, 0 times 2 is that, is 0, and 0 times 1 is 0. So is there any reason to do that?
No.
No. So I have 7200. But, okay, what do I need to do?
0.7200.
Yes, because I have 1 2 spots after this decimal and 1 2 spots after this decimal. So it makes it a total of how many decimals? 4. So I start at the right and go 1, 2, 3, 4. So the answer is 0.72. And these 0 zeros, I could have a million of them and it doesn't matter. Right?
Yep.
So what do you think this 0.72 could be?
What do you mean?
Think of money.
72 cents?
72 cents. So, 6% of that $12 slingshot was 72 cents. So, what was your total payment when you made this, when you bought it?
$12.72.
So, you take that $12, you add that 72 cents. Remember, you line up your decimals and adding, and we get $12.72. So you came out of Walmart with a $12.72 boomerang. How much did Walmart get? 12. How much did the tax people get? 72 cents. So the total, $12.72. Get it?
I thought it was a slingshot.
What did I say?
You said boomerang.
Oh, sorry. Slingshot. Okay, so that is lesson 41. Oh, wait, real quick. A few of these problems are a little bit harder on here. So we're going to do M and N together. So go on and write them on your paper. Write M and N. Okay? M says this. Actually, it's not M and N. It's N and P. Okay, sorry about that. N says this. Mentally, which means do it in your head, find 25% of 48. Now, we know how to do it mathematically, don't we?
Yes.
Yes, we know how to do it mathematically, but do we know how to do it mentally?
No.
No. So, watch this. What's half, Eli? What's half of 48?
24.
Yep. Which would be 50%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then half of 24
is 12.
Very good. See how we did that? So, it would be 48 would be total. And if I half that, 24 would go here and 24 would go here. Then if I half that, I would get 12. So there's basically 12, 12, 12, and 12, which makes up 48, right?
6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6.
Yeah. Well, that's if we are finding 12% or 12.5%. Okay? So doing this mentally would just be taking half and then half of that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because half of $1 is what?
50.
50. And half of 50 cents is a quarter. You get that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we did that one. Okay? Now, this gets a little bit tricky on P. It says this. Pay attention because we're almost done. The sales tax rate is 9.5%. Now, up until this point, we did a 6% one. And what was the answer for that? To make it into a decimal number.
0.06.
Very good. Watch this. This is 9.5, and we need to make it into a decimal number. Okay? What does a half look like as a decimal number? Do you know?
No.
0.5. Okay? A half as a decimal number is always 0.5. Okay? So sometimes when you're looking at your shoes, you're buying a shoe, and you have to get the size 9.5, some people will put 9.5 on the shoe instead of actually putting 9.5. Okay? So you will eventually learn that 0.5 means half. Okay? But problem, this 9.5, I just rewrote it like that. It's still a percent. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
So, for me to get 6%, how many times do I have to move to get to the decimal? 2, right? So, guess what? 1, 2. So, it's really 0.095 as a decimal number. Do you get that? 50% is really 12.50. 8% is really 0.08. You get what I'm doing?
Yeah.
So every percentage is always 2 decimal places over from that spot.